I now hand the conference over to Mr. Aniruddha Joshi from ICICI Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Bilal. On behalf of ICICI Securities, we welcome you all to Q4 FY21 results conference call of Tata Coffee Limited. We have with us today Mr. Chacko Purakkal Thomas, Managing Director and CEO, and Mr. K. Venkatramanan, Executive Director Finance and CFO. Now I hand over the call to the management for their initial comments, and then we will have Q&A session. Thanks, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anirudh. Good morning, everyone. This is Chacko Thomas. At the very outset, we at Tata Coffee would like to salute and recognize the efforts of all the frontline warriors fighting COVID. As a company and being part of the Tata Group, we as individuals and also collectively stand together in supporting this fight. I would like to start by saying that financial year 21 was a year of challenges, and despite several headwinds that we had, we were able to deliver a good financial performance for the quarter and for the entire year. Let me just take you through a snapshot of the financials first. Standalone total income for quarter four for the year stood at 217.3 crores and is an increase of 30% over the same quarter previous year. The standalone profit after tax is about 39.6 crores. On the consolidated total income for quarter four, which is almost 15% higher compared to the previous year, the number is 592.9 crores in quarter four financial year 21 compared to 516.7 crores in financial year 20. Moving on to the markets, coffee prices for both Arabica and Robusta did take a hit and remained under duress up and until the fourth quarter. By the end of March 21, some stability and improvement was visible. And actually, Arabica went down to touch as low as 95 cents per pound in quarter two, but closed the year at about 123 cents per pound when we close this March. Going on to the instant coffee division and the performance both in India and Vietnam. Very pleased to report that the performance in quarter four from our instant coffee divisions both in India and Vietnam have been outstanding despite the continuous pressure of rising logistics cost, subdued demand, declining global spends on premium differentiated coffee, and repeated lockdowns all over the world. We've successfully delivered highest ever sales during quarter four of this financial year, and with a fairly good performance across geographies like Russia, Southeast Asia, and MENA. New product development in financial year 21 has also been a major major breakthrough for us with fairly new clients and and also servicing some of our existing clients. Our NPD profile has established salient relationships with very large clients, and we are certain we will maintain the momentum for new customer acquisition in the new regions that we are opening post the pandemic times. But a word of caution: the overhang of the second wave of COVID, as well as the lockdowns in various parts of the world, are still challenges that we need to grapple with. And we recognize this and we take cognizance. On our plantations, both coffee and pepper harvesting was completed despite several challenges, primarily around manpower availability because of the COVID situations prevailing. And with our efforts on cost optimization and efficiency enhancement, the overall performance of the plantations has been pretty good. Performance of the tea division was also pretty good because of the improved price realizations for CPC teas and a good production thereon. On the consolidated results, in quarter four and financial year 21 are also reflecting a good improvement year on year. Our US subsidiary, 8 O'Clock Coffee, continues to register good performance. The consolidated total income for the fourth quarter ending March 31st, 2021 was higher by 15%, with a marked increase in net profit over the previous year, 43.87 crores versus 9.86 crores last year. And this is largely driven by improvements in all parts of the division, all parts of the business actually. Quickly in summary, I would like to place on record that backed by dedication, hard work and improved performance, we as a company came up with very good results for the quarter and for the year. Also, as mentioned in the beginning, the impact of COVID in its second wave is a challenge, and we are continuing to battle with it. Lastly, our prayers go out to the people suffering out there, and we also take this opportunity to wish all of you very well and request you to stay safe. I'll now hand over to my colleague Venkat, who will take you through the financial performance for the quarter and the year. Over to you, Venkat.
Thanks, Chako, and good morning to all the analyst community. So overall, as Chako has said, the company has had an excellent quarter, both in standalone and consolidated. And a couple of themes I would like to mention is one is of course the plantation performance has been very good. We had the benefit of normalized crop during the year, as well as the tea in particular registered good performance thanks to improved realizations. That is one. Plantation performance per se was one for the quarter and for the year. Secondly, instant coffee continued despite the pandemic. The quarter was good, and we were able to sort of register good volumes and growth between Vietnam and put together between instant coffee India and Vietnam. We grew the turnover for the quarter by about 20%. So that's the second one. Thirdly, the costs have been well managed because we drove cost optimization aggressively across various businesses. So that is playing out well. Fourthly, the finance cost especially has been lower for the year. We are able to get lower borrowing costs, especially in India. And fifthly, overall the consolidated performance has been good. 8 O'Clock has had good quarters in the initial period due to pantry stock filling and all that. Obviously, some of it getting little bit normalized, but obviously but still the innovation pipeline and other volumes are keeping up. So with the result that the performance across various segments, as all the cylinders fired very well. So with the consolidated total income up by 17%, and for the quarter and for the year as well, it's about 15% higher. And the company has also substantially improved both standalone and consolidated net profit for the quarter and for the year. And the director has also maintained the dividend at 150%, 150 paise per share. With this, I hand over to my colleague, my ICICI Securities for the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask any question may press star and one on their touch-tone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may please press star and two. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. To ask a question, you may please press star and one. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We have a first question from the line of Percy Panthaki from IIFL. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good morning and congrats on a good set of numbers. My first question is on your top line growth in the standalone business, which has been very robust this quarter. So just wanted to understand the driving factors behind this growth. One is, of course, the tea plantation prices would have aided the top line growth. But apart from that, what are the other factors, and is this just a normal phasing of the bulk coffee shipping, bean shipping, etc., which is part of your normal business, or is there something more to that?
So a couple of things. One is, of course, the plantation, as you rightly mentioned, overall there has been improvement in the turnover, both on the coffee, pepper, and the tea. See, one of the things to look at is also that the crop has been a major factor, because last year we had less than normal crop due to weather conditions, but this year the crop has been more or less normalized. Okay, so that is definitely playing a part in terms of the turnover, improvement in the turnover of what is being sold, because we have more production to sell. Second is instant coffee segment also, quarter on quarter with last year's and this year's quarter, we have been able to improve the volumes, and that has resulted in an additional turnover benefit to the standalone numbers. Having said that, you see, for us the levers would be, of course, as we have been reporting in the earlier quarters also, the instant coffee we are maximized in capacities. So obviously some of these things, depending on when the orders come, shipments happen, etc., that will influence on quarter. So there is definitely there. The mix will of course play a part. And thirdly, on the plantation, as we have mentioned, the crop will play the key role. But this time, as I mentioned, the crop has been good, on coffee, both on coffee and pepper. And tea, of course, got the benefit of higher realization, though the crop was slightly impacted.
Okay. Sir, can you give me some idea on what was the growth or decline in the realization per kg of coffee and for pepper on a YOY basis versus March quarter of last year?
No, it's like this. See, we have two. We have to understand. One is, of course, on the sales part. If you take coffee, the Arabica prices have been showing improving trend. So that is resulting in some benefit for Arabica. At the same time, Robusta has been impacted by lower prices. So there is an offsetting impact. But having said that, compared to the previous year, where I mentioned, you asked me about the realizations per se. Previous year, as I mentioned, compared to previous year, Arabica has improved. Robusta has come down. But there is also when you look at when you look at with the prices, one has to look at, we also value the biological produce, etc., which is on stock, which is there in the which is getting harvested, so that also influences. So in short, and you look at pepper has been versus last year, there has been improvement in the prices overall, about 10-15 rupees a kg, because that's also we are finding it in the last few months. So that's where it is. And on tea, of course, there has been a substantial increase in the prices, roughly about 30 odd rupees.
Okay.
And just wanted to add also, Mr. Chaku, just also wanted to add, we had a fairly robust instant coffee quarter too, right? And also the fact that even on the consolidated basis, even the Vietnam production was also possibly at the highest levels ever. So, it is a factor of all these factors coming together.
Right. So you mentioned that Robusta is down and Arabica is up, but the net impact of that for your weighted average portfolio would be down, right? Because you would be shipping greater quantities of Robusta compared to Arabica. Is that understanding correct?
Yeah, in a way, if you look at the overall quantity, you are right. But obviously, the price movement will not be. In fact, Arabica, we have had a little better price movement than Robusta. It means the improvement in the prices, especially on the Arabica, when we look at the closing stocks, etc., has been much higher compared to a decline in Robusta.
Okay. So what I'm trying to arrive, sir, is the weighted average price for your business for the quarter. Was it up or down on a YOY basis?
On a year-on-year basis, you're asking, or quarter-on-quarter?
Versus March quarter last year and March quarter this year.
It has been more or
less.
See, I can tell you that in terms of see the turnover. See, one thing to look at is that this turnover will be slightly misleading because it depends on when we see each year we don't sell the crop. It all depends on how the harvest happens and when it is ready. But quarter on quarter in terms of the profitability, we are substantially higher.
Right, sir. And my second question is, can you just tell me the rupees crore sales for the Vietnam plant this quarter?
Well, rupees crores for Vietnam. It will be close to sort of $8 million or so dollars.
Oh, okay. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much. Anyone who wishes to ask any question may please press star and 1. We have a next question from the line of Devraj, an investor. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm an Indian investor, and sir, I just want to know about the MEIS and sir, how we as an investor can calculate.
So can you speak louder, Devraj, if you don't mind? I'm not able to hear.
Yeah, that's all. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I just wanted to know about sir MEIS benefits, sir. How as an investor we can calculate for our company?
So MEIS benefit, as we clarified last quarter also, what we have seen, you are all aware that the April to September was there. I mean April to December was there, but December was capped at 2 crores. So what we have done as a company is that we have accrued up to December. From January we have not accrued because the new scheme has not come into place.
Okay. So means scheme is not, but will it be there in future or not? They will not.
Pardon?
So they will the scheme or not in future?
No, that scheme is yet to be announced. That new scheme called RODTP, that is yet to be announced. The rates are yet to be announced. The scheme is in place, but the rates for various products have yet to be announced.
Okay, and that rates are just we have to multiply by total exports of the Tata Coffee.
Yeah, correct. That depends on what rate we get. Because, for example, instant coffee we was at 5%. So that we'll have to wait and see as to what happens on the when they announce the rates.
Okay. And sir, apart from the plantation revenue in coffee, there are 2 plants and one is in Vietnam. So our company purchases coffee from other estates and then again processes, something like that?
No, it's like this. For the instant coffee in India, we import the coffee beans. Similarly, Vietnam also buys locally. Quite a substantial part is bought locally there. So that's how it is. For the green bean, what we produce in the plantation, they are directly sold.
Okay, that are exported.
Yeah, directly exported.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have the next question from the line of Samir Raj from Nippon AMC. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and congratulations on very good set of numbers. Good. Sir, I would request you to, if you can share the outlook for each of our businesses for the FY22, and some broad color, so that will be very useful.
So, Chacko can add. So, what I would say is on the plantation front in respect of coffee and pepper, and coffee we expect, as of now, it's too early to say, but then we expect the coffee, we have on and off years and all that, but we expect coffee production to be stable or slightly, marginally up. Pepper should go up because we have also some more immature vines and all that will get mature. We expect the pepper production overall for the company to be higher. Of course, it all depends as we have to caveat because of the crop and the weather conditions and all that. Tea we expect, this year we had the benefit of exceptional prices on tea, which we don't expect to continue. There has already been, slowdown in the tea prices. So there we'll have to keep a watch. Instant coffee is concerned, obviously, we have to see because of this second wave of pandemic and all that, we'll have to wait and see as to how it unfolds. But we have a healthy order book both in Vietnam and India. So Chacko can add more about it on the prices.
Yeah, sure. So, Samir, it's like this. A large part of this is obviously, driven by demand and consumption. And demand and consumption is something which we would not be able to take a call on at the moment because of, the second wave and third wave and the lockdowns in different parts of the world. So, if things do get to normal, and we have absolutely no idea when things will get to normal, we are pretty confident of what we can produce, and as Venkat mentioned, coffee should be the plantation coffee should be slightly better, considering the weather conditions also. And both the plants, as Venkat mentioned earlier, in India as well as in Vietnam, are now almost running close to full capacity. But it's all dependent on how things open up worldwide on consumption. And you are aware, of the situation which exists everywhere. So that's where we are.
I appreciate. I know it's not easy to predict in the current environment, so it's fine. And sir, since we're working closer to peak capacity in instant coffee, any decision on expansion?
Well, it's like this. See, we have launched. If you recall, we had launched Tata Coffee Grand, when of course it's sold and marketed by Tata Consumer. So we are seeing some uptick in the volumes on Tata Coffee Grand. So for that, as and when we require, we will be looking at some small expansion to cater to those volumes. But on a larger scale, we are still studying the market because at this point of time, it's quite difficult to plan too much ahead. So that's where it is. But obviously, the management is looking at whatever growth options possible.
Yes. So Vietnam right now we are not actively considering. Maybe we would wait for clarity to emerge from coronavirus, and once we get more clarity,
Correct.
Maybe we'll take this year.
Correct. Both in India as well as Vietnam, we will be looking at whatever options possible. Yes.
Yes, sir. Thanks for replying my questions, and I wish you very best. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you very much. Anyone who wishes to ask any question, may please press star and one. We have a next question from the line of Jayant from Care PMS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir. And congratulations for very good set of numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay.
Sir, this year the plantation production was to some extent normal. Can you share production figures of Arabica, Robusta, tea and pepper?
Chaco, you want to?
Yeah, so the overall, I don't want to divide it between Robusta and Arabica, but overall the coffee production would be close to about 8,000 tons, and the tea, I think there's an echo, but anyway, I'll continue speaking. Tea production is close to about 4.5 million kgs of tea that we have produced. And what is the other thing that you wanted to know?
Pepper will be close to around 850, 900 tons, depending on where we end up with.
So which are the peak months for coffee production?
No, so the coffee starts being picked from end of November, early December, right into Feb. Arabica comes in first and Robusta comes in second, right? And pepper is then picked after that. So pepper production picking continues. In fact, it continues into the new year.
New plants that we have put.
Hello, Jayant?
Yeah.
Yes, you had a question. We didn't hear you.
Yeah. What kind of jump in production of pepper we are expecting in 21-22?
So that's really a little difficult to answer. But obviously we are expecting immature wines to mature. So we are expecting growth in phases. Like every year we are expecting some growth. Of course, this will again depending on the normal weather.
Yeah, growth in a normal course only. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
And also, weather conditions do play a massive part in any agricultural crop. So you'd appreciate even for pepper it will be the same. But yes, there is growth. Definitely, we see a good growth coming.
Sir, recently we have launched that Sonnet brand, and there are 9 variants in that now. So can you comment on that business?
Venkat, do you want to take that?
Sonnet is a specialty Arabica single origin coffees we launched. So now it is being distributed by Tata Consumer because they have we launched on the online e-commerce route. And now it is being sold and marketed by Tata Consumer because there is we see a lot of potential in Sonnet. Obviously, we have to depend on the volumes, etc. Because this specialty Arabica, single origin, and all we have to be very careful with the quality and we being limited in supply. But so that we see while we see not it is not a mass kind of offering which will be there. It is niche. A kind of specialized offering, but we expect that will be a different kind of specialty coffee for the consumers.
Just wanted to add, Jen, that this is a coffee that we typically see in limited quantities. It's what we call the micro lots, and so every year you would find a different lot that would be there from a different estate, with a different story in altogether. So we see a lot of potential for this, and that with the heft and backing of Tata Consumer, I think this will go places.
So after taking over by Tata Consumer, is it offline also, or it is still online?
Online. Everything is online now. Everything is online.
And one more, can you tell us annual sales of Vietnam and the PBT from that?
See, PBT we don't want to tell now. Annual sales will be in the region of around, at this point of time, we do about 9 million per quarter. Roughly you can take that. That's the way it is. Of course, it all, see, the point is Vietnam one has to understand also that while we are operating around 90% capacity and all that, because around 90. So obviously there's a lot more things to be done there because we have not still got the SKU packing and all that we are exploring. So we expect the turnover and to go up in the coming years.
Sir, in channel result there is a other income 32 crores. Of the 11 crores are relating to 8 o'clock dividend. What about other income?
Other income, that's a good question. The other income is, we had some sale of some non-core assets which are there, about 13 crores out.
Okay. In balance sheet, sir, there is investment in property which is reduced from 50 crores to 33 crores.
Yeah, we sold that. That is one of the things which is sort of coming into that line.
Okay. So what is the global price scenario for coffee? Looking at the Brazil might have a shortfall in production, substantial shortfall.
No, so this is something. Yeah, so this is something which we are not very. Would not like to put out a claim saying that this is how the prices are going to behave in the next 1 year. As of now, things look at least for Arabica pretty good. I mean, prices have actually moved up, and this is, as you rightly said, on the back of some of the events that people are seeing on account of, drought. But having said that, the recovery and the quantum of new planting which is there in Arabica, and especially in Arabica in Brazil, you could always find production bouncing back in the subsequent year. So as we see, we don't see it jumping quantum increases over where we are today. It'll range between that at least for the next 5 or 6 months.
Okay. Thanks a lot. All the best, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A reminder to the participant to ask a question. You may please press star and 1. We have a next question from the line of Ekta from Karma Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Any one-offs in the OPEX cost in the standalone which is higher than your usual OPEX cost?
Operating cost, because see, we have more crop, no? So that's a direct relation of the more crop.
Okay. So there's no
Back to the
operating.
previous year, there is more crop. So obviously, with all the inputs, manpower, everything will get reflected there.
And was the OPEX cost in 8 o'clock also higher in the quarter?
8 o'clock operating cost will be based on our, on the consumption, depending on the Arabica prices and how the COGS are moving up there.
Did we do a higher amount of advertisements in the quarter compared to the previous 3 quarters?
No, not. Of course, quarter on quarter it varies, but quarter 4 was not higher.
Okay. Could you share the EBIT margins for 8 o'clock in this quarter?
EBIT margins, can I come back later? We just want, Hello?
Yeah.
I'll probably come back later on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It is in high. EBIT will be in high double digits. Yeah.
17 odd percent, 16, 17%.
Yeah, close to 20. You can take it between 18 and 20%. Yeah.
The EBIT margin.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the Vietnam side, are the margins still subdued compared to, and since we are operating at 90% capacity, but the
margins are subdued in the sense, because of the pricing, freeze-dried market, some capacity overflow is there. So because of that, the prices are subdued. Yes.
And also, I think to a large extent, it is people downsizing or downgrading their consumption from freeze actually to spray and aglo, which is also actually playing a part in the overall consumption pattern. So so that is also one of the factors.
How do you see the next year panning out? We're at 90%, we are roughly at around 250 odd crores of top line. Do you see this pricing trend improving, or do you see us at full capacity doing this kind of run rate only?
So, go ahead, Venkat. Go ahead.
Yeah, we expect prices. See, these are all depends on the coffee prices and how and what sort of demand and capacities play up. But we expect prices to improve over a period of time. It's a cycle which we expect. Because 2-3 years back we were much ahead in terms of the pricing. So the pricing will, as the pricing improves, and we have also, as I explained earlier, we haven't fully exploited the SKU capacities and all that. Those are all some efficiencies in the plant, as well as some of the improvements in the way the SKU, some of the mix can play in that, the channel mix and all that. So that there is some work to be done.
So we do see a bright spot there, a sweet spot that we can kind of hit in the next year, and we're pretty confident that this is going to definitely improve. So as Venkat rightly mentioned, there are also issues around consumption at the moment. People as I mentioned earlier, down trading and consuming more spray and aglo rather than freeze, and also the impact of COVID, which people have had, in terms of consumption and lockdowns, etc. So if things do get normalized, we do see a fair amount of upside there. There's different types of blends that we are working with, the NPDs that we work in. And the fact that there are premium kind of coffees that we are able to manufacture for certain customers, all this will add to both the turnover and the profitability from there.
Got it. And outlook on EOC, do you see? And this year we had the benefit of low base. But
can you just speak a little louder?
Can you hear? Is this better?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So I was asking on the EOC outlook. So this year we had the benefit of lower base. From next year onwards, that will go away. So how do we see the volume growth and the top line growth panning out for EOC?
So well, they have different kind of steps to be taken in terms of increasing the market penetration. Innovations as a pipeline. They have a healthy innovation pipeline to grow, and then of course the e-commerce online sales also they are focusing on. So there are multiple kind of initiatives to sort of look at how the volumes and the operations can improve. Of course, we had this year, as we had also explained, the initial 1 or 2 quarters they had the pantry filling and the increased offtakes. But having said that, overall for the year, the next the quarters also they are more or less they have kind of they've been able to do decent volumes and performance. So that's what we expect them. That's the kind of expectation.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. We have a next question from the line of Sagarika Mukherjee from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. So I have a couple of questions. One is that overall long-term trend, if you were to see something like 7-8 years kind of period, Arabica and Robusta prices for the terminal prices, if you monitor, looks like it's coming off. Even in the long term. Any observations that you could share as in why that is happening?
Yeah, so thank you, Sagarika. I mean, it is largely driven by obviously the kind of production that's been happening worldwide, and largely driven by the Brazilian production. So if you notice Brazil production and keep aside a couple of years where they had really bad drought and a lot of production got impacted because of that. The quantum of replanting and new plantings that have taken place, both in Arabica and Robusta, and so incidentally, Brazil at some point in time, not in the very distant future, is going to actually overtake Vietnam as far as Robusta production is concerned. Obviously, it's the largest Arabica producer at the moment in any case. So it is that, along with a very favorable currency that they have. The Brazilian real has continued to depreciate, making it better and better for the people to actually go and export. So that's what has happened in the past, and that's what has actually been driving the prices down, except for a couple of years where you've had weather-related events. And as we speak today, you also have again a concern about some of the weather, not enough adequate rainfall in Brazil, creating this artificial improvement or increase in prices. It's anybody's guess how far it will go up, but yeah, that's a story behind it.
Sure. And sir, for our instant coffee business, which we actually export to globally, I guess, could you please highlight which all countries are these where we kind of sell both Vietnam and India instant coffee?
So
and are these more to B2B? I mean, these are largely B2B.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of co-packing for people, and so large base of customers from our European, from our Vietnam operations are to Europe, and of course Southeast Asia. It obviously makes sense because of the duty structures and the tariffs which are there. From India, of course, we service a fairly large quantum to Africa, Middle East, and also some parts into Europe. But yes, these are, and of course, I should not forget, a large part also goes from both these units into the CIS of Russia in particular. So these are primarily the geographies that we service. Venkat, you want to add?
No, these are of course, we already covered, Japan and all that. So Southeast Asia. Yeah.
So, and so these clients that we have everywhere, these are more in-home brands, or these are more out-of-home brands? Like in the sense, are these more like retail chains where coffee is being sold, or are these more in-home brands like people take them for home consumption?
It's a mix of both. It's a mix of both. Yeah.
And so lastly,
yeah, go ahead, please.
yes, and lastly, so for this, on a longer term basis, your realizations in 8 o'clock coffee, if you could just give some color on, your realization trend in 8 o'clock coffee and the coffee demand in US right now, as in more in home, or was it more exposed to out of home consumption?
So realizations we don't want to comment because that depends on the market conditions. What competition does, and there is there's a trade spends and all that. So realizations we don't want to comment. It's also closely linked to the coffee prices also. No, so there will be some linkages to the Arabica prices because they have all they use primarily Brazilian Arabicas. On the second question was on you asked about the volumes or.
Yeah, I mean, so the demand scenario for U.S. coffee consumption today.
Demand for coffee consumption is good. There's a strong demand for coffee. There's no issues there. We expect demand to be stable or growing.
Right. And sir, if I could just squeeze in one last question, that just generally, although it's not something that you sell in India, but generally, what's your view on the coffee market in India in home consumption? I understand you don't sell here.
Coffee market in India, see, it's the coffee market in India has been definitely growing, especially the out of home. With all these Starbucks chains and all that it is there, and in-house coffee consumption is also picked up because more and more variants, like including our own Tata Coffee Grand, which we have launched a couple of years back, 3-4 years back, and there is increased offtake we find, and that's showing a lot of promise. So that's where it is. And also not to forget, our Sonnets brand, which is a single origin specialty Arabica micro lots, as Chaco had also explained. So there is a lot of, demand as such picking up for coffee in India. And definitely, of course, India is predominantly a tea market, but definitely coffee is also picking up, which was earlier, more confined to South in the filter coffee and RNG variants. But there's definitely a coffee demand across India picking up.
And so that continued in the pandemic year also, you would say?
Yes,
yes. Trend of...
Yes, very much.
All right. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have the next question from the line of Dhiral Shah from Flip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, sir, and thanks for the opportunity. So my question is again pertaining to the instant coffee division. So wanted to know, sir, how is the competitive intensity globally? Because as I believe, Brazil being one of the key competitor for us is also facing a severe, COVID second wave. And you also talked about Brazilian real depreciation. So what is your view on the overall instant coffee segment?
So yeah, it's limited to instant coffee. Brazil, yes, continues to have certain advantages. Of course, because of its real, as you rightly mentioned. Secondly, because of the large quantum of coffee that is already available within the country. Frankly, at least in the first wave, Brazil actually managed their supply chain and the harvest, etc., pretty well. It now remains to be seen in this coming, season how they're actually going to manage if the levels of COVID, impact is to be believed. How they would be able to manage? Would they be able to do what they did last time? So overall, I think Brazil is a fairly competitive producer, but no doubts about it.
Okay, but sir, are we getting a because of this COVID scenario in Brazil? Not India, but at least in a Vietnam facility.
Are we sorry? I didn't catch you there.
So are we getting any advantage, because Brazil also facing the second wave of COVID?
No, not really. That doesn't work. Yeah. No. See, Brazil second wave and all that will have some impact on the global coffee prices because of the, Brazil produces Arabica. There is a kind of dip in the coffee production as such. But on the instant coffee demand, there's nothing other than, of course, Brazil and South, Latin American countries could become more competitive in pricing. So that's what we are finding. But that's because of the currency movements.
Just remember that instant coffee factory will not employ thousands and thousands of people, right? It is availability of material that is not something which is one of the factors there.
Okay. And sir, any chance of exporting instant coffee to US market?
We are exploring some opportunities, but that is we are still not there in that sense, because this is only, of course, the kind of blends. Of course, we have made a little beginning by exporting some Tata Coffee Grand there, but that's all small, very, very initial attempts. But we are looking at opportunities as it comes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's it from my side. All the best.
Thank you very much. We have the next question from the line of Rohit from ICICI Securities. Please go.
Hello.
Yes, Rohit.
Yeah, so actually I have a question which I just read it out to you. One is, what are the prospects going ahead as the prices of Arabica are rising gradually? At present it is 1.4 per pound, and the price is bottomed out at 95 cents. That's my first question.
No, Arabica prices, as it moves up, it is beneficial for the plantations, no doubt. And, so that is definitely there. And for instant coffee, we don't use much of Arabica in the sense, we use more of Robusta. And Arabica, of course, specialized blends we use. But that will be, again, kind of, if we are, it's like an FMCG segment where if you are paying a higher input cost, then you're able to pass on. That's where it is. 8 o'clock, again, it depends. If the Arabica prices keep moving up, they should be having the kind of, competitive power to increase prices. That is a different, that's the way it will function.
Okay. So, second question I wanted to ask was about Tata Grand. What are the plans for developing the brand itself, and so that it can kind of grow faster in countries like India?
So Rohit, I would suggest, we manufacture and sell it to Tata Consumer, which we then distributes on markets and all that. So my question will be to the best answered in the Tata Consumer analyst meeting. So they'll be able to give more color to it and more precise answer.
So only thing which you wanted to actually add was that I think Venkat did mention some time back. They do see an upside, and that's why we are actually investing in increasing capacity so that we can meet that quantities which they actually need for Tata Coffee Grand. So that should give you a sense of, at least from our perspective, where we see Tata Coffee Grand going. And
we are seeing a lot of buoyancy in Tata Coffee Grand, but obviously I think this question, Tata Consumer, team will definitely answer better.
Okay. So my other question is about what are the expectations of capturing the dried freeze coffee in the Indian market?
Freeze-dried coffee. You're talking about freeze-dried coffee in India. No, so there are.
That's right.
Yeah. So Tata Coffee Grand is also, a mix of freeze-dried and another type of coffee that we produce. So freeze-dried, yes. I mean, there is obviously a demand for it. So we do feel that it's a good product to go with. Venkat, anything you would like to add?
No. That's it. I mean, we have got our Tata Coffee Grand formulation is quite different, and even the taste profile, everything. That's the kind of feedback what we have got.
And I think my last question would be, I think you've already answered with regards to Brazil, and but just want to, some more light if you could throw that the crop has been, has depleted by 30% in Brazil. What kind of advantage does that give to Tata Coffee?
No, so see, let's look at it. I mean, I think this is being bandied about, quite a bit, saying that the Brazilian crop is on the decline. There is, and that's the reason, things have moved to 143 cents, etc. But as I mentioned, it is all subject to what kind of consumption that we see happening or continuing in the next 5 or 6 months, right? And if there is a second or third wave of COVID, or there is shutdown, lockdown, etc., the consumption obviously is going to take an impact. It is not very easy to say that this shortage would actually translate into skyrocketing prices. At the moment, they have moved, and I do feel that going forward in the next couple of months, they should settle, and it should be something which is not I do not see it shooting way out of the screen. It is going to remain among around the same levels. This is my reading.
And additionally, Rohit, you have to understand coffee is also a lot of hedge funds are all at play. So all this that's what all they would have all taken positions depending on what they see as the crop prospects in globally.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate your
Thank you very much.
All the questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have a question from the line of Deepshika from Millennium. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my question. Sir, can you please tell me how much debt you have reduced from 8 o'clock and how much from Vietnam?
Can you just speak louder, Ruchika?
Sir, can you please tell me how much debt you have reduced from 8 o'clock and how much from Vietnam?
See, Vietnam will be in the range of what we have reduced year on year from last year to this year will be in the range of around 5 to 6 million.
Right, sir.
And 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I'll roughly looking at it. Roughly, there also around 5 odd million will be the kind of reduction.
Okay, and so can you give us any indication going forward how you are planning to manage the debt in both these places?
No, they have got adequate cash flows. No, there's no problem. 8 o'clock and all are quite strong. They generate good operating cash. There's no problem at all. Vietnam is also. They already started repayments of the loans, etc. So they have internal cash flows are good enough for repayments.
Right. So my second question is, the Vietnam plant is running at almost 90% capacity, and a 400 crore plant is producing about 250 crores, if I'm not wrong, versus the Tata Coffee India operations, a 400 crore plant is producing 800 crores. So can you please explain this?
See, it's like this. See, first of all, this comparison may not be right. The point is, Tata in Indian instant coffee, we have a spray, aglo, and freeze. Okay, so it's a mix of all that, and it's a larger capacity also. We produce around 8,500 to 9,000 tons in India. Whereas Vietnam is only a freeze-dried coffee of around 5,000 tons, which was set up about a year and a half back. From May 19 or so, it became operational. So obviously, see, there are levers to be still in kind of operational there in terms of what we can do with the plant, in terms of efficiencies, in terms of new channels which we can explore. The SKU, for example, India, the SKU percentage is very high because of the pack we do for packing for private label in countries. So Vietnam, all that is not still happened because we have only about 1.5 years or two, roughly, in that sense. So roughly, we are just closing in 1.5 2 years. No, so it's a long, it's a major project for us. So it will take some time for all the optimization of the efficiencies and improvements in sales to get reflected. Secondly, it's also linked to the coffee prices. Finally, it's all there is a capacity, there is a coffee prices, there is demand. Of course, in this current year of the pandemic and all, we also have our own challenges in terms of how much we can sort of push things. That's where it is. But having said that, compared to the current conditions, Vietnam, both Instant Coffee India and Vietnam have done exceptionally well.
Right. So, could you please make a comment on the margins of the Vietnam operations going forward, please?
See, Vietnam margins, we don't want to comment right now because we'll wait because the current conditions, see, one thing I can tell you is it is, it is strongly EBITDA and EBIT positive, which and they are generating cash. Okay. Now the question of how much is the PAT? It is already PAT positive for some months. So that's a question of stabilizing and going forward.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a next question from the line of Devika Jain from Ratnabali Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I just wanted to understand from a long-term perspective as to why don't we merge with the parent company, given that the bulk of our revenues come from 8 o'clock?
Why don't we?
Merge with the parent company.
No, that
given that
that is not in our hands. No, it's not there. We don't want to comment on speculation, etc. This is a listed entity, and that's where we are focused on running our business. And secondly, this company is also, it's a different segment. We have the, we have the instant coffee, which is different. Then we have the plantations, which are different, and we have the 8 o'clock. So they're all different, segments of business we play in.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Also, one more thing, I just wanted to understand the reason behind a decline in our value-added product segment margins.
No, value-added segment margins, per se, there has been, as we explained, there has been some pricing pressures. Okay. So that gets reflected, and, so that's where it is. And different quarters play out differently. That's where it is.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Due to time constraint, we will take our last question from the line of Vivek Tulsian from Newmark Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, in the opening remarks, did you mention that the instant coffee volume growth was about 20% compared to last year? Did I hear that?
No, I didn't say that.
No. For the quarter, I'm saying instant coffee turnover we have said, not the volume.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but if I look at the quarterly number of or quarterly growth in value added, that's about 10% compared to last year.
Yeah. So we have, value added business will comprise of the instant coffee in India, instant coffee in Vietnam, and then we have the 8 o'clock. Okay. When I mentioned the instant coffee business, I mentioned only about the instant coffee business in India and Vietnam, which together.
Understood. And sir, part of this margin impact could be because we did not accrue any MEIS benefit in this quarter. Could you quantify how big that number would be?
Yeah, that's also true, because we would have accrued about last year about 3 to 4 crores, which is not there in the current year. Quarter.
Understood. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So thank you very much for being with us. And as I mentioned earlier, please stay safe. And thank you from everyone here at Tata Coffee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Participant on behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.